Welcome back, basketball fans, to another monumental edition of our deep dive sports analysis. If you are joining us today, you already know that in this country, basketball is not just a game. It is a religion. It is the rhythmic bouncing of a worn-out leather ball on the concrete courts of every barangay, the collective gasp of millions of fans huddled around a television screen, and the immense, almost suffocating pride we feel when our athletes wear the flag across their chests. Today, we are witnessing a historic moment that will forever alter the landscape of Philippine basketball. We are talking about a seismic shift, a tectonic movement in the very foundation of our national team, Gilas Pilipinas, and the domestic professional scene. The news has just broken, and it is sending absolute shockwaves from the bustling streets of Manila to the farthest corners of the archipelago, and even echoing through the international hoops community. The headlines are screaming, and the rumors have finally materialized into undeniable facts. Coach Tim Cone, the undisputed winningest mentor in the history of the Philippine Basketball Association and the mastermind behind our glorious Asian Games gold medal run, has just executed a massive, unprecedented roster overhaul. We are talking about a major BAKLAS, a deliberate and strategic dismantling of the current Gilas Pilipinas lineup. 3 established players are out. They have been removed from the immediate equation in a move that no one saw coming, a move that speaks volumes about the ruthless, uncompromising pursuit of international excellence that Coach Tim Cone is now demanding from this program. But the departure of these 3 players is only the opening act of this incredibly dramatic narrative. The real story, the absolute blockbuster revelation that is setting social media on fire and dominating every sports conversation today, is about who is coming in to replace them. Brace yourselves, because the cavalry has arrived, and it is formidable. We are officially welcoming back the towering prodigy, the undisputed future of Philippine basketball, Sotto. Joining him is the relentless, high-octane energy machine from De La Salle University, the absolute rebounding demon, Mike Phillips. And as if that was not enough to send our excitement through the roof, we have the highly anticipated, long-awaited, and finally confirmed return of the Kapampangan Tower, Phillips and Baltazar, affectionately known to everyone as Baltie. These 3 colossal figures are stepping into the Gilas Pilipinas training camp, ready to absorb Coach Tim Cone's intricate system, ready to fortify our frontline, and ready to take on the best that Asia and the world have to offer. However, there is an incredibly thick layer of controversy and paradigm-shifting reality attached to this monumental announcement. The arrival of Sotto, Phillips and Baltazar is not just a triumph for the national team. It is a glaring, undeniable statement about the current state of our domestic league. The underlying, unavoidable theme of this entire movement is encapsulated in 3 simple words: avoid the PBA. Yes, you heard that correctly. These 3 generational talents, these pillars of our national team's future, are actively bypassing, delaying, or completely sidestepping the Philippine Basketball Association. They are choosing different paths, forging new trails, and prioritizing international competition and the Gilas Pilipinas program over the traditional route of entering the PBA draft. This is a narrative that challenges decades of tradition. For the longest time, the ultimate dream of any young Filipino basketball player was to hear their name called by the PBA commissioner, to wear the jersey of Ginebra, San Miguel, or Magnolia. But the times are changing, the landscape is evolving, and the global basketball economy has opened its doors to our homegrown talent. Think about the magnitude of this decision. Coach Tim Cone, a man whose entire legacy was built within the walls of the PBA, is now at the helm of a national team movement that is effectively drawing talent away from that very league. It is a fascinating paradox, a brilliant yet controversial strategy that highlights the absolute necessity of assembling the most competitive, internationally hardened roster possible. We are looking at a Gilas Pilipinas team that is no longer just a collection of PBA superstars borrowed for a few weeks of practice. We are witnessing the birth of a dedicated, globally minded, and physically imposing squad that is built to rival the titans of world basketball. The BAKLAS of the 3 players, whose identities are heavily speculated upon but whose departure signals a clear shift in tactical philosophy, paves the way for a frontline that possesses unprecedented size, athleticism, and youth. Sotto brings his NBA-level height, his refined touch from the perimeter, and his invaluable experience from the Australian NBL and the Japanese B-League. He is no longer the raw teenager we saw years ago. He is a seasoned professional who understands the rigors of international play. Mike Phillips, on the other hand, is the ultimate glue guy, the human embodiment of hustle. He does not need the ball in his hands to completely disrupt the opposing team. His offensive rebounding, his weak side defense, and his sheer determination to outwork everyone on the floor are exactly the traits that Coach Tim Cone values in his defensive schemes. And then we have Phillips and Baltazar, the prodigal son returning to the national fold. Baltie's journey has been well documented, from his dominance in the local amateur ranks to his brief international stints and his undeniable supremacy in regional leagues. His return to Gilas, under the very coach who once famously questioned his availability, is a story of redemption, reconciliation, and a shared commitment to the national cause. Baltazar brings floor spacing, high basketball IQ, and a versatile defensive presence that will seamlessly integrate into the triangle offense. This entire situation, the BAKLAS, the arrival of this trio, and the conscious avoidance of the PBA, represents a watershed moment. It forces us to ask critical, uncomfortable questions about the future of our local professional league. How does the PBA adapt when the best young talent in the country views it not as the ultimate destination, but as an option to be avoided? How does the league remain competitive and attractive to fans when the likes of Sotto, Phillips, and Baltazar are showcasing their skills on the international stage, far away from the PBA hardwood? Furthermore, what does this mean for the chemistry and the long-term development of Gilas Pilipinas? We are looking at a team that is finally embracing the global trend of prioritizing length, versatility, and international exposure. We are going to unpack every single layer of this massive, multi-dimensional story. We will analyze the tactical genius behind Coach Tim Cone's decisions. We will look closely at the specific skill sets that Kai Sotto, Mike Phillips, and Phillips and Baltazar are bringing to the table and how they fit into the Gilas puzzle. We will also dive deep into the economic and developmental reasons why avoiding the PBA has become the new norm for our elite prospects. This is not just a news update. This is a comprehensive, documentary-style exploration of the modern era of Philippine basketball. We are going to leave no stone unturned, no rumor unaddressed, and no tactical implication unexplored. So, sit back, make sure you are subscribed, and get ready for the most extensive, detailed, and passionate breakdown of this breaking news. The landscape has shifted. The future is here. Let us dive into the deep end of this Gilas Pilipinas revolution. The tactical BAKLAS, Coach Tim Cone's masterstroke. We must begin our deep dive by analyzing the mind of the architect himself, Coach Tim Cone. When the news broke that Coach Tim was initiating a BAKLAS, a removal of 3 Gilas players from the active rotation to make way for the new arrivals, the immediate reaction from the public was one of pure shock. In the culture of Philippine basketball, loyalty and familiarity often dictate roster spots. But Coach Tim Cone operates on a different frequency. He understands that international basketball is an unforgiving arena. You cannot survive against the European giants, the athletic African nations, or the sharpshooting Asian rivals on pure heart and sheer willpower alone. You need a specific blend of size, basketball IQ, and tactical discipline. The decision to dismantle a portion of the existing roster was not an act of malice. It was a calculated, necessary evolution. Coach Tim Cone's system, heavily rooted in the principles of the triangle offense and an incredibly demanding switching defensive scheme, requires specific personnel. It requires big men who can pass from the post, forwards who can read the weak side action, and players who possess the length to disrupt passing lanes. The 3 players who were removed, despite their undeniable talent and previous contributions to the national cause, likely found themselves physically or tactically mismatched against the looming giants of global basketball. Coach Cone is moving away from the era of undersized, isolation-heavy basketball. He is looking at the blueprint of world champions and realizing that size truly matters, but only when combined with mobility and intelligence. This BAKLAS is a clear message to everyone in the pool. No spot is guaranteed. Past accolades will not secure your seat on the plane. The only currency that matters now is your ability to execute the system and match the physical demands of FIBA-level competition. It is a harsh reality, but it is the exact type of rigorous, uncompromising standard that will elevate Gilas Pilipinas from being mere participants to legitimate contenders on the world stage. The return of the Kaiju, Kai Sotto's evolution. Now, let us turn our attention to the first, and perhaps most significant, piece of this incoming trio, Kai Sotto. The narrative surrounding Kai has always been one of immense expectations. From the moment he stood head and shoulders above his peers in high school, the entire nation placed the weight of its NBA dreams squarely on his young, developing shoulders. But the Kai Sotto that is coming into this Gilas Pilipinas camp is drastically different from the teenager we once knew. This is a battle-tested professional. His journey through the G League Ignite program, his physical development in the Australian National Basketball League with the Adelaide 36 Airs, and his current, highly productive tenure in the Japanese B-League have forged him into a legitimate international center. When we talk about Kai Sotto in the context of Coach Tim Cohn's system, the possibilities are absolutely mouth-watering. Sotto is not just a tall player who camps in the paint. He has developed a reliable mid-range jumper, and he is increasingly comfortable stretching the floor beyond the three-point line. In the triangle offense, the center is often the primary facilitator from the high post or the pinch post. Sotto's passing vision, which has drastically improved over the last 2 years, makes him an ideal fit for this role. He can hit the cutting guards, he can execute the dribble handoffs with precision, and he can punish defenses that choose to switch smaller players onto him. Defensively, his sheer size alters shots. The avoid-PBA route has been the defining characteristic of Sotto's career. By choosing the global path, Sotto has constantly faced opponents who are stronger, faster, and more skilled than what he would typically encounter domestically. This exposure has accelerated his growth, allowing him to adapt to the speed and physicality of the international game. His commitment to Gilas at this crucial juncture provides the national team with an anchor, a 7'3" behemoth who can legitimately go toe-to-toe with the best centers in the world. The relentless motor, Mike Phillips' defensive anchor. Moving on from the finesse and sheer size of Kai Sotto, we transition to the absolute chaos coordinator, Mike Phillips. If Kai Sotto is the tactical anchor, Mike Phillips is the beating heart and the relentless motor of this new Gilas lineup. His inclusion is a brilliant strategic move by Coach Tim Cohn. In international play, there are moments when the offensive sets break down, when the shots are not falling, and when the game turns into a gritty, physical dogfight. This is exactly where Mike Phillips thrives. During his legendary collegiate career with the Gilas Green Archers, Phillips established himself as arguably the best offensive rebounder the amateur ranks had seen in decades. He possesses a supernatural ability to track the trajectory of a missed shot, combined with a second jump that is incredibly explosive. But why is an energy guy like Phillips so crucial for Gilas Pilipinas, and why is he part of this massive BAKLAS replacement? Coach Tim Cohn values possessions. He values extra opportunities. Phillips guarantees extra possessions through his relentless pursuit of the basketball. Furthermore, his defensive versatility is elite. Standing at around 6'8" with incredible lateral quickness, Phillips can switch onto guards on the perimeter, hedge hard on pick and rolls, and recover in time to protect the rim. He does not demand offensive touches, which makes him the perfect complementary piece alongside ball-dominant guards and primary scorers. By bypassing the PBA draft, Mike Phillips is signaling a commitment to a different brand of basketball. He is looking at the international standard of hybrid forwards, players who are physical enough to play power forward but quick enough to defend the wing. His energy is infectious. When he dives for a loose ball, when he secures an impossible offensive board, it demoralizes the opposing team and electrifies his own. Coach Cohn knows that a successful national team requires players who are willing to do the dirty work, and Mike Phillips is arriving with his hard hat and steel-toed boots, ready to completely disrupt the rhythm of our international rivals. The prodigal Kapampangan, Philippine, Baltie, Baltazar's redemption. The third piece of this monumental trio is a story of redemption, timing, and undeniable talent. Philippine Baltazar, or Baltie, is finally, officially in the fold under Coach Tim Cohn. To understand the magnitude of this, we have to look back at the friction that previously existed. There was a time, not too long ago, when Coach Cohn famously expressed frustration over Baltazar's lack of availability for the national team. There were missed connections, miscommunications, and a palpable sense of disappointment from the fans who desperately wanted to see the Kapampangan star wear the national colors again. But in professional sports, winning cures everything, and a shared vision for national pride can bridge any gap. The past has been completely wiped clean. The BAKLAS made room, and Baltazar has stepped into the spotlight, fully committed and ready to dominate. Philippine Baltazar is arguably one of the most uniquely skilled big men the Philippines has ever produced. At 6'9", he moves with the fluidity of a small forward. His stint in the Japanese B-League and his absolute, undisputed dominance in the local regional leagues have kept his skills razor-sharp. Why did he avoid the PBA for so long? Baltazar realized his immense value. He understood that his combination of size, perimeter shooting, and elite rebounding commanded a premium that the traditional structures of the domestic league might not fully accommodate. Furthermore, his game is tailor-made for the modern FIBA landscape. He can stretch the defense all the way to the three-point line, forcing opposing rim protectors out of the paint. He can put the ball on the floor and attack closeouts. In Coach Tim Cohn's system, Baltazar is the ultimate chess piece. He can play alongside Sotto to form a terrifyingly tall twin tower combination that can actually shoot the lights out, or he can play the center position in a fast-paced, small ball lineup. The reconciliation between Coach Cohn and Baltazar is a massive victory for Gilas Pilipinas. It proves that the national interest supersedes any past misunderstandings. Baltie is bringing a wealth of experience, a deadly shooting stroke, and a point to prove. He is here to show the world that he is, without a doubt, one of the premier big men in the Asian region. The avoid-PBA paradigm, a new era for Filipino talent. We cannot discuss the arrival of Sotto, Phillips, and Baltazar without dedicating a massive portion of this analysis to the elephant in the room, the avoid-PBA movement. This is not just a catchy headline, it is a fundamental shift in the entire ecosystem of Philippine basketball. For nearly half a century, the PBA was the undisputed pinnacle, the absolute zenith of a player's career. But the world has become smaller, and the basketball market has become entirely globalized. The decision of these three players, and many others like them, to delay or completely ignore the PBA is driven by a combination of elite competition, financial reality, and specialized development. Let us break down the competitive aspect first. The Asian basketball landscape has exploded. The Japanese B-League and the Korean Basketball League have aggressively recruited Filipino talent, utilizing their Asian quota rules. These leagues offer a style of play that is remarkably close to the FIBA standard: fast-paced, highly tactical, heavily reliant on spacing, and featuring world-class foreign imports. When players like Sotto and Justine Baltazar play in these leagues, they are constantly tested against elite competition, which naturally accelerates their development. The PBA, while deeply beloved and historically significant, has often been criticized for a style of play that can sometimes be overly physical, isolation-heavy, and heavily reliant on dominant import scorers, which can stunt the growth of local big men. By avoiding the PBA, these young stars are immersing themselves in environments that directly prepare them for the rigors of the World Cup and the Olympic qualifiers. Then, there is the undeniable financial component. The international leagues are offering compensation packages that are incredibly lucrative, often far exceeding the rookie maximum salaries mandated by the PBA. For a professional athlete with a limited window to maximize their earnings, the financial pull of the B-League or the KBL is impossible to ignore. But beyond the money, it is about the respect for their craft. These international clubs provide state-of-the-art training facilities, dedicated player development coaches, and a purely professional environment focused on maximizing potential. Furthermore, the avoid-PBA trend is giving birth to a new breed of basketball professional in the Philippines, the full-time national team player. With the support of the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas and private benefactors, it is now entirely possible for players like Mike Phillips to dedicate themselves entirely to the Gilas program without the conflicting schedule of a grueling PBA season. This allows Coach Tim Cohn to have his core players available for longer training camps, fostering the kind of chemistry and systematic understanding that European and South American national teams have enjoyed for decades. The PBA is now at a crossroads. It must find innovative ways to coexist with this new reality, perhaps by adjusting its draft rules, its calendar, or its salary structure, to ensure it remains a viable option for our homegrown stars. But for now, the message is clear. For Sotto, Phillips, and Baltazar, the path to greatness does not run through the PBA draft. It runs across the globe and straight into the heart of the Gilas Pilipinas training facility. The synergy of the new frontline. Let us visualize what this new Gilas Pilipinas frontline actually looks like on the court. Imagine the sheer terror for an opposing Asian team bringing the ball up the court and seeing a defensive wall consisting of the 7'3" Sotto protecting the rim, the 6'9" Justine Baltazar denying the entry pass with his immense wingspan, and the relentless Mike Phillips blowing up pick-and-roll actions with his speed. This is a level of size and athleticism that the Philippines has never historically possessed all at once. Offensively, the spacing becomes impeccable. Baltazar's ability to consistently knock down the corner three forces the opposing power forward to vacate the paint. This opens up massive driving lanes for our dynamic guards like Dwight Ramos, Scotty Thompson, or Chris Newsom. When the defense collapses on the drive, the ball is kicked out to the perimeter or lobbed up to the sky where only Sotto can reach it. And if a shot is missed, Mike Phillips is already in the air, securing the offensive rebound and resetting the possession. This trio covers every single deficiency the national team has struggled with in the past. We have always struggled against taller teams. Sotto and Baltazar solve that. We have always struggled with rebounding against athletic squads. Phillips solves that. We have always needed floor-spacing big men to run the triangle effectively. Sotto and Baltazar provide exactly that. Coach Tim Cohn has essentially been handed the keys to a high-performance, custom-built sports car, and this BAKLAS was simply him making room in the garage to park it. The road ahead, expectations and reality. However, we must ground our excitement in reality. The integration of Sotto, Phillips, and Baltazar will not yield instantaneous perfection. The triangle offense is notoriously difficult to master. It requires supreme chemistry, split-second decision-making, and an intuitive understanding of your teammates' tendencies. The players who were subjected to the BAKLAS were familiar with the system. The incoming trio, while immensely talented, will face a steep learning curve. There will be turnovers. There will be missed defensive rotations. There will be moments of frustration as they adapt to Coach Cohn's exacting standards. But the ceiling of this team is astronomically high. This roster shakeup is not about winning a pocket tournament next month. It is about building a sustainable, dominant force for the next World Cup cycle and beyond. It is about establishing a culture where playing for the national team is the absolute priority, unhindered by domestic league constraints. The avoid-PBA narrative, while controversial, is ultimately serving the greater good of the national program. It is creating a pipeline of internationally hardened warriors who bring global experience back to our shores. As we look toward the upcoming FIBA windows, the pressure on Coach Tim Cohn and this new-look Gilas Pilipinas squad will be immense. The Filipino fans are the most passionate, but also the most demanding in the world. They will expect immediate results. They will scrutinize every missed free throw and every blown assignment. But if there is any coach who can manage these expectations, who can insulate his players from the outside noise, and who can mold this immense raw talent into a cohesive, unstoppable unit, it is Tim Cohn. He has orchestrated the BAKLAS with clinical precision. He has welcomed the prodigy, the motor, and the redeemed star. He has embraced the new era of Philippine basketball. We have reached the end of this incredibly extensive, deep dive analysis into the absolute bombshell news rocking Philippine basketball. To summarize the magnitude of what we have discussed today, Coach Tim Cohn has executed a strategic BAKLAS, moving 3 players out of the Gilas Pilipinas rotation to usher in a new era. In their place, we welcome the towering international presence of Kai Sotto, the unmatched energy and defensive prowess of Mike Phillips, and the versatile redemptive return of Baltie Baltazar. And hovering over this entire roster transformation is the undeniable reality of the avoid-PBA movement, a paradigm shift where our brightest stars are charting their own courses, prioritizing international leagues and full-time national team commitment over the traditional domestic draft. This is more than just a roster update. This is a turning point in our sporting history. It forces us to redefine what it means to be a professional basketball player in the Philippines. It challenges our domestic leagues to innovate, and it elevates the national team to an unprecedented level of potential. The combination of Sotto's size, Baltazar's shooting, and Phillips' relentless motor gives Gilas Pilipinas a frontline that can strike fear into the hearts of our international rivals. Coach Tim Cohn has drawn his line in the sand. He is building a team not just to compete, but to conquer. The road ahead will be filled with grueling training camps, complex tactical adjustments, and the immense weight of national expectation. But for the first time in a long time, the pieces of the puzzle seem to fit perfectly. We have the right leadership, we have the necessary size, and we have players who have been forged in the fires of international competition. Now, I want to turn this conversation over to you, the most passionate basketball community in the world. What are your thoughts on Coach Tim Cohn's BAKLAS decision? Do you think the departure of the 3 veteran players was necessary to make room for this new trio? How do you feel about the avoid-PBA trend? Is it a positive step for the development of our national team, or are you concerned about the long-term impact it will have on our local professional league? And most importantly, how far do you think a Gilas Pilipinas team featuring Kai Sotto, Mike Phillips, and Baltazar can go on the world stage? Drop your thoughts, your tactical breakdowns, and your passionate opinions in the comments section below. I read every single one of them, and I want to hear your voice. If you enjoyed this incredibly detailed, documentary-style deep dive, please do me a massive favor. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our comprehensive coverage of Philippine basketball. We are going to be following this story closely, tracking every practice, every rumor, and every game as this new Gilas Pilipinas era unfolds. Thank you for spending your time with me, for your unwavering love for the game, and for supporting this channel. Until the next deep dive, keep the passion alive, keep supporting our national team, and I will see you all in the next video. Let us go, Gilas. Pilipinas, Puso.